Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode and broadcast of the Near Death Diaries. I am your host, Deadeye Two Tongues, and with me is the Fog Man himself, Mr. Cody. Say hello, Cody.
Hello, fog lovers.
So we hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. We think that was a pretty successful run through. Since then, we have upgraded some of our equipment. Cody now has a microphone. You're going to have to speak up into it, Cody.
I think it can hear me. I can see it picking it up.
Yeah, but it's not coming through in my headphones, which is a great indicator that it's not coming through to the viewers, and that is what's important here. Is the viewers.
Do I just scream?
No.
I just scream?
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't make a habit out of that. But you should, in fact, make a habit out of hitting that subscribe button so the Fog Man can eat. So we asked you guys to come through with some emails and send us in some of your personal experiences, whether it be a near-death experience, whether it be with some spooky skeletons, some zombified neighbors, something going bump underneath your bed, or, something creepy peering out of your closet. And you guys delivered. I have not read through these because I feel the ambiguity of the subject matter is what's going to make a good show. So what are we looking at here today, Cody? It's at the top of the header. It says Spooky Trip to Spring Grove Cemetery.
It seems to be an interesting story of a group of friends who went to a cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio.
So I myself have quite a bit of personal experiences roaming through cemeteries in the late hours. And I have myself, as you guys have seen on some of my social media, had some pretty, just the other day.
Yeah.
We went out to Pedigo Ridge Cemetery. We did a little bit of ghost hunting to see what it was we would pick up on our EMF meter. Cody, you want to explain what an EMF meter is?
Electromagnetic field meter.
Right.
Picks up anything that's electric currents. If you hold it up to an outlet, it's going to go off. But when you're in the middle of nowhere and it's going off, that's a little weird.
And the interesting thing was that night that whenever the EMF meter was handed to me, and this is some footage that you guys can see on our Patreon, we're going to be posting that. When it was handed to me, the meter would start going off, and not just going off, like really, really ramping up and going off, which was kind of spooky considering I was telling a story about a paranormal experience that happened to me, both whenever I was in high school and then whenever I was a younger man. Pretty strange. We've yet to go out and investigate that any further, but it does in fact seem like something wants me to do a little bit of detective work out there at Pedigo Ridge, and that's something that we plan on doing in the near future. But in front of me here, I have Spooky Trip to Spring Grove Cemetery sent into us by Kayla. And we're going to read through this, and we're going to have some points of discussion, I'm sure. And then we also have another story that came in that we'll be reading afterwards. Spooky Trip to Spring Grove Cemetery. My girls and I like to take spooky trips from time to time. This particular one led us to Bobby Mackey's in Kentucky and a few cemeteries on our way back to Michigan. The scary story takes place in Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati. Give it up to the 513. I spent a lot of time up at Cincinnati in my college days. Quite a few of my friends and brethren lived up there, and I got to spend quite a bit of time up there. So hello all of y'all to from the Nasty Natty. It's good to have you on the show. So it started off like any other cemetery visit. We've had many. Big, beautiful cemetery, gorgeous mausoleums, interesting headstones and statues. As we were walking around, we came to an enormous stone building. We investigated a bit, and then it happened. Here we go. We all split off. There were 5 of us.
Wait, we just split off?
Yeah, this
Go
seems...
out here and just split up.
Yeah,
Let's
right.
do one of those no things and just instantly split up.
It's like we all see what happens when we do this, but for some reason it doesn't make sense until someone's in the morgue.
It's always fun.
Yeah, right. So I'm glad. I mean, they wrote in, so at least one of the 5 survived.
Made it.
Right. So we all split off. There were 5 of us. I went with my friend Haley. 2 other girls went in a different direction, and the 5th split off alone.
Whoa.
It says tisk tisk. Yeah, I'd say.
Was there no room in the other groups, or is it just a lone wolf? I don't know.
I'm sure it was like a very Scooby-Doo like situation, you know, something like that, you know. Every group's got a Fred and a Shaggy, you know. As my friend and I were wandering aimlessly, we came across a towering statue. While taking pics and admiring it, we kept saying how we needed to go find the other girls to show them. They'd love it, so this must be a huge cemetery. So we started to make our way back the way we had come, hoping to run into them at some point. That didn't happen. In fact, they were absolutely nowhere. Not one of them. Is this like an ongoing investigation? Should we be concerned? Should we send help?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll know by the end of the story. Not panicking yet, we messaged my cousin, the driver. The car was now missing too. She responded, "Hey, yeah, we aren't far from where we all split off. We're honking at you. Can you hear us?" Either it's a big cemetery or we are in some sort of strange kind of dissociated Twilight Zone area. We heard nothing. Silence. I don't even remember hearing any birds. That's never good.
Once nature goes silent, you know something's up.
Yeah, there have been several times being in the woods with like Cody or being in the woods on my own, and that is always a silence is
Like
deafening.
like an indicator of...
Yeah, when nature bows, down to whatever it is, or goes silent, or appears to go silent, it's time to get your mind very clear for what is about to happen, in my opinion. Because that is a big indicator that something comparable to the force of nature is among you. So it says, we tried dropping a pin and sending our location to them. All the other girls had found each other and were by the car at this point. They got the text and said, well, your location says you're right in front of us.
Ooh.
But clearly we weren't.
That's not good.
That's strange. Some sort of wormhole.
What do you even do in that situation? I mean...
Well, you never panic.
Don't panic, but being like, how do I get myself out of this dimension back to my own dimension?
Yeah, while coming to the realization that you are in another dimension. Yeah.
Did this story start off? Did it mention if it was nighttime or daytime? Because I'm trying to picture it, and I'm...
Let's see. It appears as if it's daytime. I believe. I guess they never really... I don't think
either one at this point is creepy, but I mean...
Well, let's use our powers of deduction here. Let's Sherlock Holmes it. At one point, they were talking as if they would be able to look out across the cemetery and see them. You don't do that at night. You can't. Yeah. You don't expect to look out and go,
Hopefully the writer of this shows up in the comments and...
They're sitting right here in another dimension. Yeah.
Welcome back to this dimension. But no, I mean, like in the comments, and can clarify if this was daytime or nighttime.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine it, and I want to imagine it as nighttime, but then I have a feeling it's daytime, but I'm not sure.
Arguably more terrifying if it is daytime.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you go to the cemetery, I want to walk around at night, but then things like that happening in the daytime is even creepier, probably.
Okay, so it just left off. This must have gone on for another 20 minutes or so before we actually found them. When they were telling us how close they were while honking the horn, we were dumbfounded because we heard absolutely nothing. Moving on, we decided to take them back to those statues, since we were 1000% sure they were up around the bend from where we had originally come from, but they're gone. The statues weren't there anymore. I had a similar experience to this the other day, and I have photographs up at Pedigo Ridge. Now, this could be easily explained. Pedigo Ridge has become a little bit more on the occupied side of things. A lot of people have begun to come in and move into that road. It used to be, like there was nobody there. Just imagine this old logging road in the middle of Appalachia. And now there's quite a few people. I used to go to a tombstone. Like I said, I have pictures of me there, and I would smoke with Mary Jane, who was a permanent tenant to Pedigo. And I went there the other day, and it is nowhere to be found. A combination of fungi and algae, which creates lichen, one of the first terraformers of our land. Lichen is all over these gravestones, and it's eating away at all of the stone etchings and everything. But this one looked rather new, and I'll have to dig up and find the photographs. But it looked rather new by comparison to all of them, and this one would have been within the past 5-6 years. Most of these graves are from the 1800s out there. Hers looked rather pristine by comparison. So when I went out there, I brought a hog leg. I was going to smoke with old Mary Jane, and just to have there be no remnant of her left. So
It was your last dance with Mary Jane.
oh my gosh, one more time to kill the pain.
What? So they got out of being just absent from
So
everywhere, and then they decided to go back. Like, I want to know how many people.
yeah,
and
so
how many people went back this time? Because it's like,
well, it looks as if the whole group
yeah,
is now walking to what they were talking about, these cool statues.
yeah.
But they're not there. If we could get some sort of clarification, if you are watching this, Kayla, how was it without you guys, seeing one another? That you like eventually, if you were standing close to them and you were, was there just like a moment where all of a sudden, whoop, you were visible, or you want to take us through that? Because it's kind of given me like Doctor Strange, warping alternate reality type feel, and I'd like to know how you guys actually ended up linking back together. But spooky
The
as
blip.
all, yeah, spooky as all hell, almost like a glitch, like in our very matrix like world here. But it said we had photos as proof. Same thing with the Mary Jane.
They did send photos.
Yeah, it says we have photos as proof, and they were so tall there's no way we couldn't have seen them again. Still a mystery. This was a few years ago now, but we still talk about how the cemetery had messed with us that day. Did we fall into some sort of time loop? Paranormal activity? We'll never know. But we're considering a trip back there to see if we experience anything similar. Included are photos of the building we started at and the statues that only Haley and I saw. So we're going to put those photos up for you guys to take a look.
Yeah, I don't know what to do in that situation. I've never really had like something like that happen where you're just.
Yeah, I mean, cemeteries hold a lot of residual, like whether it be from the dead themselves, like I can't help but feel as if I were to pass away, the last thing I'd want to do is linger around the area that I'm buried. I would probably have some better places to haunt, so I wonder, I'm a big believer in like kind of egregoring, like the human mind is able to focalize intention and like kind of like a perspective, and it becomes such a powerful shared perspective that people essentially summon disembodied beings or presences to a certain location. And in my opinion, it's not the people who are dwelling there most of the time. um, this is something that you see with haunted houses or, you know, things that have had significant events or untimely events or horrific events happen there, you have to wonder if you were, nearly murdered like I was, would I want to linger the halls of where I was shot, reliving where I was shot every single day, or would I want to be free of that? So, what is it that actually ends up haunting these locations? What is it that actually ends up being trapped there or created there? And in my opinion, is a manifestation of us, the living, focalizing fear and assumption dangerously together into a location to bring something forward that is not of this world. So, Kayla S., thank you. Fantastic telling of your story. A follow up, if you'd like. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Thank you for being on our podcast today. And yeah, the pictures we're also going to be putting onto our Patreon that she sent. We're going to make a haunted section of our Patreon as well. Guys, it's so much fun combining all of this content for you guys. The other day I was thinking to myself, how is it I am going to combine Appalachia, haunting, plants, fungi, and I have some ideas, but
Haunted plants.
well, there are a lot of plants, sage being one of the forerunners, for example, that the living and lore and tradition, and culture all across the world for some reason, believes that sage is a cleanser.
Yeah.
I myself included. If you're trying to get rid of something haunting or some residual energy, I still lean on sage. But culturally, there's a lot of different reasons that people do this, especially here in the US with, native culture, holy white sage being the forerunner, what is the most used and seems to be the most practical and acceptable across the board. So we're going to dive into another story. Yet again, I find that not knowing the story when I'm reading it is going to be what gives it the best outcome. So you guys are hearing this for the first time with me. I think Cody, you've only screened this, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, making sure that there's nothing
Trying
that
to.
you
Trying to.
know I'm like reading and I'm like, whoa. Um, yeah, but I feel is now is a good time since we have just got done touching on the plant subject. If you guys would like to go to hellfireholler.com right here, you can check out some of our fantastic products. Guys, we have a lot of great reviews on our products. Quite a few people really, really enjoying the life quality that they have enhanced due to these products. We especially specialize in things that help with traumatic brain injuries, TBI, post traumatic stress disorder, and getting back to a healthy cognitive mind. We also have things that help with anxiety, um, things like that. But we are just about to add a whole new list of products, including lung detoxification using the expectorant power of mullein, the reparative power of blueberry. We have licorice root. We have all sorts of things in there that are going to help you breathe a lot better and get a lot of that tar buildup out of your lungs, especially for people who've been smoking. We also are working on a parasite cleanse. We're working on a migraine relief and many, many other things. So we did a video asking you guys what you guys would really, really like. And we kind of took the most common request. A lot of detoxing, a lot of detoxing. A lot of people out there becoming aware that many of the things that we ingest are pretty much toxic, oftentimes not able to be sold in other countries, except for here in the good old US of A. But a lot of people getting hip to that and trying to get their health back, which I applaud all of you for that. But we're about to dive into the second story of the evening. Cody, smash that fog machine like everybody should be smashing that like button and that subscribe button.
And I tried to match it up a little bit with the stories to be another cemetery type.
Oh, so we got a lot of emails.
We're staying in the cemeteries tonight.
Yeah, so that's how we're going to try to do things. And here's a good time to announce to you guys, if you guys want to be sending in your story, if you want your story to be read here on the Near Death Diary podcast, whether that be your firsthand experience with anything like your life flashing before your eyes, an actual NDE, an actual near death experience, and then if you have anything that shows us here in the world of the living that there could very well be the presence of lingering spirits here, or anything cryptid, any different forms of life, or if you have been put close to death, the near death diaries, if you feel like at any point you were threatened to the point to where you almost had a near death experience, we want to hear about that too. That includes cryptids, that includes extraterrestrial or interdimensional. So we're going to dive into the second story. This looks like a nice read, and we're going to read it together. And I'm going to do my best ghost story ASMR, boys.
Were you not doing that on the first one? What were you?
Well, I mean, nobody told me I was. Nobody said. I guess this isn't live, so I don't know. Did I? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so here we go. It was supposed to be a fun, creepy little night, just enough to give the girls a scare and maybe impress them a bit. My buddy Travis and I scoped out an old cemetery months earlier, tucked deep in the woods, miles off the main road. No signs of gates, just worn, crumbling stones, half swallowed by roots and moss. Travis had found it a while back ago scouting for fishing spots and swore it had the perfect vibe, just creepy enough to feel haunted, but safe enough for a harmless thrill.
Well, now hold on a second. We're getting into fishing.
Yeah, right?
I was like, all right, I'm down.
Sacrilege!
I'm all about it. Yeah.
I don't want to do no haunted fishing.
Yeah, I'm out there, out where we go fishing. There's tons of old cemeteries that are just.
Well, no matter where we go here, Cody, it's like
I guess so.
We live in an absolute vortex. Remember that guy the other day on TikTok who was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys know some shit, but you should hear the sounds that are out here in Moxie."
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
And we're like, you
hey.
mean if we walked outside our door right now,
like where I lived, where these stories actually kind of happened. And...
Yeah. Right. Okay, so I mean, we're starting off. I've done this before. I have scouted out places to, I have plenty of friends who come here and they want to be scared, and it is like a thing. So I get where these dudes are coming from. I get what I get their shtick. I get what's coming. Just I have a feeling that this cemetery that you scouted out is going to be.
We're going on a cemetery type date, right? Is that what it is?
Well, no, they're trying to creep out some gals.
Yeah, so
some gal pals.
Okay.
So
been there.
Yeah. Haven't we all? All right. It was late September, cool but not cold. The perfect night for a creepy date. Hey!
There we go.
We picked up the girls around 9 and headed for the old Tacoma. Spirits high, windows down, music low. I love your storytelling so far. This is good.
The old Tacoma.
The old Tacoma. They were laughing, teasing us, trying to be. They were laughing and teasing us for trying to be scary. I joked that the dead out there probably just wanted someone to talk to, invoking them. The last few miles were nothing but dirt and gravel, twisting through the thickest part of the forest. The cemetery was maybe 30 feet off a narrow pull-off. No lights for miles, no other cars, no nothing. Travis and I came prepared with flashlights and a Bluetooth speaker, playing ambient ghost noises, thinking we'd set the mood and maybe get a shriek or two. And for a while, it worked. They clung to our arms nervously, giggling as we walked among the graves, pretending to read the names.
The perfect plan.
Right? Get them close to you.
Yeah, it worked out.
Make them a little spooked out.
So far, it's working out.
Right? I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the horror to kick in. But then something shifted out of nowhere. Fog started to roll in, thick and heavy. It didn't drift in slow like you would expect. It was like someone flipped a switch and we were surrounded. Our flashlights dimmed in it, barely cutting through more than a few feet. Travis looked at me. I could tell he was spooked too, but trying to keep it together for the girls.
What you gotta
Whoa.
do. It's what you gotta do. But you can tell this guy's told this story.
Mm,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is any story worth telling,
yeah. I mean, you get
you
it
know.
down to where you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I think people like whenever I'm telling stories,
yeah.
like on my TikTok. A lot of those stories that I have, in my storybook are stories that I've lived, that I've had nothing but time to toil over, the confusion and the strangeness that, came with them demanded a lot of, my headspace, and it gets to the point to where it's very refined and you have it down to the
Oh yeah, you can
details
just
and
repeat it just
yeah.
right off the top of your head.
Then came the knocking. At first, I thought it was someone playing a prank, but it didn't sound like it came from one place. It echoed from behind us, then to the left, then right in front of us. Sharp, distinct knocks, wood on wood, like something rapping on a tree trunk in a rhythm only they understood.
Mm.
The girls stopped laughing. One of them grabbed my arm so hard I thought it might bruise. We decided it was time to go,
Yeah.
and fast. Yeah, I'd say so. For me, it would have been the fog and the dimming of the flashlights. That would have been the part where I was like, mm. Well, and we were talking about how clever earlier. Like make them a little
Yeah. Yeah.
scared, make them
Oops.
sit close, close to you, grab your arm. Well, now they're gonna rip your arm off.
Yeah.
That's not good.
But the knocking, that's
Well,
a
that's something we've heard with Bigfoot quite
yeah,
a
that's a
bit.
Sasquatch
That's something
trait.
we've experienced ourselves in the woods before.
Not that it couldn't be something else, but
They did say wood on wood.
yeah.
We piled into the truck and took off down the road. Visibility was terrible, the fog still thick, now clinging to the windshield like sweat. We only made it a quarter of the mile before Travis, riding shotgun, yelled for me to stop. A tree, big, fresh, and too damn perfect, was down across the road. We hadn't passed it on the way. It had just landed there.
Well, that's not good.
Dude, if something's got the ability to knock a tree down to keep you there, Rut-row. There wasn't enough room to go around. We had no choice but to turn around, drive back past the cemetery, and try.
It could have been a coincidence, just a random tree falling.
Well, I don't know. They didn't say
Not
much
good.
about.
It's not a good vibe
They
at
didn't
that
say.
point.
They didn't say anything about it storming. They didn't say.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. If it, I was thinking because I try to picture this, and I mean, I got a cemetery in mind where I could just be like, "This is where I was going at," and like it could have happened at this cemetery. But I'm like, did it rain earlier in the day, and then that like get warm and cause the fog, or is it just?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
And
like just
it's not. It
trying to
doesn't.
imagine.
It's not a branch either.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
if
a.
it's a tree that you can't drive through, that's
Uh, yeah.
especially with the Tacoma.
Yeah. Right. The Tacoma. There's not enough room to go around. We had no choice but to turn around, drive past the cemetery, and try the long way through the northern logging roads. Logging roads are never, nope, they are never fun to go down at night. Not at all. Pedigo is an old logging road. Logging is a very dangerous, especially when they're old logging roads. You're talking very final destination type, you know, like that's, the old log truck. Anytime someone sees that stained the generation of people or something. But anytime I see a logging truck, even not even in its element, not even on a logging road, it's pure terrify. It's like like terrifier material. But the fog followed us. It didn't lift. It didn't thin. It was as if the forest had sealed itself shut. As we passed through the cemetery again, one of the girls suddenly screamed. She pointed out the window, frantic. almost climbing into the front seat. There's someone out there, she kept saying, her voice cracking. I slowed down and glanced out, and Travis leaned towards the window, squinting. She swore it was a naked man, pale,
Ooh.
tall, too tall, and no face, no eyes, no mouth, just smooth. Skin like surface where the face should be, but no face. Anytime I've seen apparitions, um, some stories that I'm getting to telling on TikTok, um, we in fact had a apparition that wandered our hallways at night. Tiny house growing up, you know, three brothers in one room, three sisters in another. Parents slept in the living room, like true Appalachian, poverty growing up. Um, but we had a visitor that we all kind of like one day while traveling to the grocery store, a 30-minute drive, we all had time to sit and talk, and everybody kind of got on the subject matter of something that they'd been experiencing late at night. And it was one of those situations where we were finishing each other's sentences. Like my mother is like, "Oh yeah, he's wearing and we're like, a long coat," you know,
Hmm.
and then yeah, and then my sister's like, and he had one of those rimmed hats. Everybody's starting to get the chills, because it's like it's validating what you have been seeing and experiencing. Um, and we named him John, and I saw John plenty of times, wandering through the house late at night. Um, but that was one of the things that the story shares in similarity. Anytime that I did see him, it was quite obvious he was wearing a coat, but you couldn't see buttons or pockets. It was quite obvious that he had, a face, but it was distorted and smooth, with no really defining feature, just kind of sunken, depressions where the eyes would be. Um, and, the other day when I told the story of the fella who was going Angela la 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 on my TikTok, that was the thing too. The apparition that had kind of jumped onto him seemed to have relatively smooth features over top of our friend Scott, who was in in the thick of a possession. But yeah, that seems to be kind of something that I've seen a bit, only giving credence to what you're saying here.
At least your guy was wearing a coat. This one was
Yeah,
naked.
naked. And what made you believe he was naked? Did he have a ghost dong? Let us know in the comments. Travis later told me he might have seen it too, just for a second. Something pale and tall standing between the stones, but the fog was thick and the truck was moving fast. He said it looked like a man, but just a little off, too thin, no clothes, and he swore it had no face, or maybe he just couldn't see it from afar. I didn't see anything myself. Just that damn fog and the shapes of the gravestones blurring together. The girls were full on panicking now. One was crying and hyperventilating. We kept driving, turning down one back road after another. Our phones had no service. Every turn looked the same. Tight corners, gnarled trees, gravel, dust, and fog. It felt like we were in a loop. Yeah, you gotta keep your wits about you in these back roads. You have to.
Well, at least he, it seems like he kept his eyes on the road.
Yeah,
Didn't see the naked man.
right. It did.
I try to think about what that could have been because the knocking made me think, okay, like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, naked, faceless man. I don't know.
And from what I know about otherworldly apparitions, is that they essentially are feeding off of fear. That's why oftentimes, I'm saying, don't show that you're scared. In a lot of my stories, you'll hear me be like, we're not running, we're calmly walking. It's an attempt to not feed whatever it is. If something has enough energy to create a sound or an apparition in the physical realm, in my opinion, it's something with a hefty amount of power. So, what is it we're talking here? It's tall, it's, it's able to be seen enough in definition to see that it's naked. Are we talking cryptid here? You know, are we talking ghosts? All of the fog setting in and everything makes me think that, it's something otherworldly,
Combination,
you
everything
know?
working together to.
Yeah. Or does it have some sort of impact on the human psyche? Like vampires are rumored to, and, able to make you see what it wants to see. Is there even fog there in, like, is there even fog there in reality? That's the type of things I think of. How
We're,
much is something distorting how I'm seeing something,
as the story was going, I'm trying to imagine it and stuff, and I just out of like just habit was like, yeah, you got no service,
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
like just the description of where it's at and how far off it's like, yeah, you got no service already, because
Yeah,
you know wherever
God,
we go fishing, we go to these cemeteries. It's like, yeah, no service. You got no
yeah.
service. You had no service 20 minutes ago.
Yeah,
And
and you
like,
only got deeper in it,
yeah,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's where the stuff. That's where you got to go do the
Yeah.
stuff. You got to
Yeah.
go do the stuff out in there, and that's.
Yeah. Yeah. Always let people know when you are deciding to go on these adventures. Cody and I, one of the fail safes, we let people know when we are going into the woods. You don't hear from that person, within 5-6 hours. Eh, it's time to perk your ears up and maybe ask around. Hey,
Oh,
have you seen?
there's been a few
Mm,
out where we go mushroom hunting and fishing, and it's every few years somebody finds a body out there,
mm,
and then I was wondering, how does somebody not know that someone's gone missing? There's had to have been a car or something, but well, who knows what happened?
yeah. Stay strapped. So eventually, by pure luck, we hit a back road that led out to Route 60. The fog thinned the farther we went, and by the time we hit pavement, it was like nothing had ever happened. The girls were silent the whole ride back. When we dropped them off, one muttered a thank you without looking up. The others didn't say a word. Travis and I tried texting them a few days later. No response. Ghosted. Literally. Oof.
Oh, you had a sweet spot there, and then you went overboard with it.
Yeah, right.
You had like, oh, they're on our arms, it's working, and then it was like, oh, it's going too far, and we're
Hey, you really fucked that up,
we're
buddy.
toasted chat.
Friend circles have imploded due to your actions. So it says we don't talk about that night much now. Well, yeah, you ain't talking at all. I've driven past the turnoff to that cemetery a couple times since, but I've never gone back. Travis won't even mention it unless he's been drinking, and even then, all he'll say is, "I don't think she was lying. I think I saw it too."
I bet he did see it. I bet he
I
saw it from the get go, and he just didn't want to
Yeah.
acknowledge it,
Well,
which isn't a bad thing.
notice too at the end, he doesn't mention it unless he's drinking.
Yeah.
Experiences like this, man. I've seen it. I've seen it take people down some dark paths. You know, it could be a reason why he does drink. Who knows? But man, what a spooky story. So, yeah, what Cody, what is your takeaway from that?
My honest takeaway,
Yeah.
I don't want to make light of it, but I really want to. I feel like there's a good fishing hole back there,
Worth it.
because
Yeah.
if people are just getting scared out of there, there's got to be some decent fish. But
Yeah, right. Or some really clever hillbillies who are like, setting it all up. They got like how we have like our stunt dummy. Like it's just like set up out there, and like they brought their Bluetooth and everything, but like these guys have their own Bluetooth stuff set up. It's like some ongoing thing they've been doing for years.
a whole Scooby Doo operation, but just for a fishing hole. There's no like treasure or money
Yeah.
thing
But
going on. It's just for fish.
how it would work is these guys would go out there with the intent to scare people away from the fishing hole, and they'd bring the Bluetooth speakers and they would terrify these people, and then those terrified people go off and they tell other people about how terrifying it was, and that lends energy to that land, and it starts to build, like all sorts of scary, spooky stories. And next thing you know, these guys who are sitting there thinking, well, it's all bullshit. We're the ones behind it.
But yeah,
Summoned,
just manifested it.
yeah, summoned like a Cthulhu. Like, it's like, ah, shit.
No fishing for
And,
anyone.
and it comes out of the fishing hole. Yeah. Oh, man. We shouldn't play with such dark forces. We really, really shouldn't. But yeah, 2 spooky stories that we got. So we're gonna post those pictures from the first story. Kayla, thank you again for writing in. That was an awesome telling of your story, and we're glad that you submitted it for us to read here. And the anonymous story here that we read second, thank you so much.
They did have a Bluetooth speaker.
Oh no, here it is. It's Ellie. Ellie, thank you so much for sending that in. Yeah, they did. They said they had a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, I wonder. So they heard the knocking, but I wonder if there were other noises that they possibly didn't catch. Because
Yeah.
of, I've done that at the school in Moxie. We went up there with a speaker and we were just shooting basketball. And you get away from the speaker a little bit, and I'm pretty sure I heard something, and I'm pretty sure other people heard it too. But we kind of just ignored it and kept shooting.
Yeah.
It was like
The
I
Appalachian
I
way.
could see people looking off into the. And I'm like, you heard that?
Yeah, but the Appalachian way is to completely ignore it. Just
Yeah, we
it
weren't in the
didn't.
mood for
Yeah, I'm not in the mood.
paranormal that night. We were just
Yeah,
having fun.
I'd like to think of like the spirits that we've just gotten conditioned to, like, push away. They're like out of the corner of your eye, just like holding up signs with like they're angry. Like, look at me, you fucking hillbilly. No, no, we will not. But yeah, thank you for these submissions today. We hope you enjoyed our second podcast. So again, guys, if you're wanting to write in to have your story told here on the podcast, this being the second one, I think we did a pretty fantastic job, and the people who submitted, you did excellent. If you guys want to write in, you can write into hellfirehollerpodcast@gmail.com. That's where we're going to look into your stories.
And try to be as detailed as possible.
Yes, it is up to you guys to put all the detail and the oomph behind this.
And you
Um,
can remain anonymous if you wish.
Absolutely.
And pictures are welcome.
Yep. I think our next episode, because we've got multiple emails surrounding, from what Cody tells me, what you said, Dog Man.
Yes, we've had two that. Well, one was he definitely called it a dog man, and the other one was something similar that I pictured. So I was going to lump them together.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like that we have that in the future. We have a little appearance, a cameo, if you will, by the Dog Man himself. I think that's going to be our next episode. But our submittee, after learning that we were going to be doing this episode, and we were going to be reading his email, decided that he wanted to add more subject matter. He wants us to help him get his story out, and he did, in fact, send pictures that I was able to look at. Looks pretty creepy. Doesn't look like any tracks that I would have seen around this area. It's after growing up in these hills, you can kind of identify, most of the critters around here, and when you can't, well, you know that you're dealing with something a little outside of your norm, and that's what it appeared to show. So in the upcoming episode, Dog Man is what it looks like. He will have that in, and we're going to work on that episode of the podcast for you. And also, guys, we're open to suggestions. We want to build this podcast, and a lot of that comes into you guys, the viewers and the listeners. So put in your input. You can also send that over to hellfirehollerpodcast@gmail.com, or just let us know here in the comment section what you guys would do and should do right now is hit that subscribe button. We're trying to build our presence here on YouTube as well. And we're really thankful that you guys tuned in today. So, Cody, anything you want to add? Any last remarks?
I'm excited to have nightmares of naked, faceless people.
Yeah, it sounds like a good one for tonight. Yeah.
Reading these stories, I keep getting everything done during the day, and then I'll be like, all right, I'm going to read some of these emails right before bed, and then I
Yeah.
have some weird dreams, and I need to stop that.
On the nights I need to make the 20-minute drive home down only back roads
Yes.
from here to my little cabin, those are fun after reading these. I gotta tell you, but I'm still mostly scared of the deer and my car hitting one more than anything, you know. But who knows? Maybe I'll get another scary story to tell here on the Near Death Diary podcast. So we hope you guys enjoyed our spooky, scary time. Yet again, you guys can follow us on here. You can follow us on TikTok. Deadeye Two Tongues is the name. You can follow us on Patreon. Deadeye Two Tongues 740 is how you can find me on there. We also have a Discord, and we have an Instagram, and we have a Facebook. You guys can follow us on all those social media platforms, and you can show us support there.
And our website.
You can go to hellfireholler.com as well, where you can pick up all your nature supplement needs. Like I said, we got some new products coming out for you guys in the very near future. Until next time, guys, until we do this What Goes Bump in the Night dance again, I am your host, Deadeye Two Tongues. This is my best friend Cody. Signing off. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, stay spooky, stay wild.